the Houston Texans have traded for Bills wide receiver Stefon Diggs. Hello, everybody. I'm Jeremy Chuggs here on Texans Today. We're going to be breaking down the entire trade details around Stefon Diggs to the Houston Texans, what that means for the Texans, going through the draft, going through free agency. What are the Texans getting in Stefon Diggs? I'll let you know everything you need to know coming up on today's video. Here it is right here, the trade for Stefon Diggs. The Texans get Stefon Diggs, a 2025 fifth-round pick, and a 2024 sixth-round pick. The Bills are receiving a 2025 second-round pick, not their own, the one they got for trading back with the Minnesota Vikings. So it kind of puts that trade a little bit more into perspective of them trading back out of the first round. Or now if I told you, if you could trade back into the second round and get Stefon Diggs, I think that's a win, in my opinion. I absolutely love this trade for the Houston Texans. They're not really losing draft capital. They still get a fifth-round pick in 2025, so they still are adding on more picks than what they already have in the 2025 NFL Draft. And they're adding another 2024 sixth-round pick along in the process. And DeMeco Ryans has already said he loves the depth in this draft. He thinks rounds 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, he can still find players that can help this team, help the Texans win right now. So I trust this team. I trust their drafting ability so far. They found a lot of really good players last year in the draft, a la C.J. Stroud, Will Anderson, both of the rookies of the year. Also, Tank Dell, who is one of the best ascending wide receivers in the National Football League. I absolutely love this trade for the Houston Texans. And I'm going to be breaking down more about Stefon Diggs, more about this trade. But this right here is why you hit that sub button. When the Texans make a move, we break it down here on the channel. We were the first Texans channel to go live after the Stefon Diggs news broke. We are here to bring you the best Texans content on the internet. So if you want a free, let me say that again, a free way to enjoy the Houston Texans, to enjoy Texans content, go down and hit that sub button to the fastest growing Texans channel on YouTube. We're trying to get to 13,000 subscribers. Don't do it for me. Do it for TJ Yates, the Yates of hell. Do it for him. Go down and hit that sub button. And, I mean, going along with the Stefon Diggs news, I mean, they had been rumored to be in on Keenan Allen before. They had been rumored to possibly be in on T. Higgins. Also, Stefon Diggs, they had been in discussions with the Bills per reports throughout this offseason. They were looking to add another established wide receiver to this wide receiver group, and that is exactly what you're getting with Stefon Diggs. His stats over the past 4 seasons, I mean, absolutely incredible. Last year, 1,100 yards, 8 touchdowns on 107 receptions. 2022, over 1,400 yards, 11 touchdowns. In 2021, over 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns. I mean, the dude is an absolute machine. And yes, he's been with Josh Allen, but now he's going with another talented quarterback with C.J. Stroud, who can probably get, if not the same, even more out of Stefon Diggs going into next season. And now we look at this Texans wide receiver room with Tank Dell, Nico Collins, Stefon Diggs. This is a scary trio right here. This is a scary trio for the National Football League. I think it rivals almost any other wide receiver core in the NFL. Nico Collins, over 1,200 yards last year, 8 touchdowns. Tank Dell, 700 yards, 7 touchdowns in a rookie season where he was out a third of the year. And then you add Stefon Diggs to that unit. Now, for this Texans depth chart, I don't know who's 1, 2, or 3. I don't think it even really matters. It's just these are your top 3 guys that are going to be on the field with C.J. Stroud. Stefon Diggs, Nico Collins, Tank Dell. They re-signed Noah Brown this offseason. They have John Mechie, Xavier Hutchinson, Robert Woods. I don't know if he really makes it through OTAs and preseason now that they traded for Stefon Diggs. But, wow, the Texans absolutely get a real one in Stefon Diggs. Now, obviously, he had been complaining about the Bills organization, his relationship with the front office, tumultuous, kind of similar things that you kind of see in his career going back to the Minnesota Vikings. So it does worry me just a tad bit, just a little bit about Stefon Diggs and how he fits in the locker room. But I really trust C.J. Stroud and DeMeco Ryans to really take control of this locker room and get the most out of a guy like Stefon Diggs. Now, you see the trade. We've broken down the trade a little bit. Let me know. What would you grade this trade for the Houston Texans? Give me an A, B, C, D, or F. We're live here on Texans Today, and the live poll right now with over 350 votes, 85% are saying this is an A trade for the Houston Texans. Let me know what you think down in the comment section. How would you grade this trade for the Houston Texans? A, B, C, D, or F? I got to give this trade an A. I mean, you're giving up a 2025 second-round pick that you acquired by trading back in the draft. And I mentioned before that you traded out of the first round. But if I told you could trade back into the second round, but also acquire Stefon Diggs in the process, I mean, I'm doing that every single time. I mean, yes, obviously there's a lot of good wide receivers in the draft this year, but it's also somewhat of a crapshoot. You don't know that these guys are going to 100% pan out. You know what you're getting in Stefon Diggs. You're getting a Pro Bowl receiver, somebody who has competed at the highest level, been a top 10 receiver for the past couple of seasons in the National Football League, to pair with young up-and-comers like a Tank Dell, like a Nico Collins. So, I mean, I would be hard-pressed to give the Texans anything other than an A for this trade. Stefon Diggs to the Houston Texans. I mean, what more are you telling your team? What more are you telling your fan base other than we're going for a Super Bowl this year when you make moves like this, when you sign Danielle Hunter, when you trade for Joe Mixon? This is Nick Caserio, this is D'Amico Ryans telling Texans fans, we are going for it all this season. It's Super Bowl or bust for the Houston Texans. And I'll break down more about this trade, more about Stefon Diggs in just a moment, but couldn't do today's show if it wasn't for our wonderful sponsors over at Game Time. Let me tell you about Game Time a little bit. Where are my baseball fans at? I know we're talking Texans football, but I know I got some Astros fans in the chat. The season just set off, and if you're trying to catch a game, the easiest way to score last-second tickets is with our sponsor, Game Time. You can get great deals on last-second tickets and even see the seat view before you buy the tickets. All-in prices show you what you pay without hidden fees or expenses, and Game Time has zone deals. You pick the section, Game Time picks the seats for an average savings of 18%. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Now, Stefon Diggs, the newest Houston Texan. I mean, he's under contract through 2027. He turns 31 years old in November. I get all of those things, but also when you're looking at it in the grand scheme of things, he's only guaranteed $3.51 million after 2024. So I know the contract looks scary. I get, he's 31 years old already. We've seen wide receivers in their early 30s still produce in the National Football League. And once again, he's only guaranteed $3.5 million past 2024. So his contract is somewhat easy to get out of if you're the Houston Texans. And you have control for Stefon Diggs through 2027. And I mean, what better piece to add on top, a little cherry on top to this Texans offense other than Stefon Diggs? Because you're bringing him in and you're not expecting him to be a wide receiver one and carry the wide receiver room. You already have guys like Nico Collins. You have a guy like Tank Dell, Dalton Schultz, who are reliable pass catchers already for C.J. Stroud. So you're not saying, Stefon Diggs, we need you to come in and save us. We're saying, Stefon Diggs, we want to add you to the super team, and let's get this thing rolling. Now, this tweet came in from Jason OTC. The Bills will carry about $31.1 million in dead money for Diggs. Pretty much a disaster extension for them. Wound up paying an extra $20.9 million in 2022 and 2023 to come away with a net of less than a second rounder next year. And that's why I'm saying that's an A-plus trade for the Houston Texans. They absolutely fleeced the Bills. I get it. Stefon Diggs and the Bills organization had a tumultuous relationship. They had a back and forth where it wasn't very conducive for them moving forward. But still, you trade a guy like Stefon Diggs for pennies on the dollar. Bad look for the Buffalo Bills. But I mean, thank God for the Houston Texans. Am I right? And now we look at the Texans offense going into next season. C.J. Stroud, Joe Mixon, Stefon Diggs, Nathaniel Dell, Dalton Schultz. You add in Nico Collins into that. This offense is a top 5 offense in the league. Am I wrong? I don't think so. You add this Texans offensive line that played pretty well last season. I mean, this is a scary sight for defensive coordinators around the National Football League. And like I said, Nick Caserio, D'Amico Ryans, they're looking you straight in the eyes. They're telling Texans fans, right now, with all of these additions that they had this offseason, we're going for it all. We're going for a Super Bowl. We believe C.J. Stroud is our guy. He is the franchise CJ7 C.J. Stroud. Yeah, and we're going to build the best possible team we can around him, no matter what you have to do, no matter what it takes. We are going to wheel and deal this offseason and make this team a juggernaut team in the AFC. You went ahead and you added Joe Mixon. Maybe one of your sneaky biggest holes coming in from last year was the running back spot. You had Devin Singletary, but you didn't really – you saw in that Ravens game. The running backs, the running game that you had last year was not it. Now you have a guy who can really, really help this Texans offense, especially in short yardage situations. You add Joe Mixon. You trade for Stefon Diggs, adding to a really good wide receiver core already. I mean, if you didn't add a wide receiver either in free agency or the draft, I don't think the Texans would have been too bad off with Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Noah Brown. I don't think it would have been the worst wide receiver room in the NFL, but now you add Stefon Diggs, and now it becomes a top 5 unit in the National Football League. You add Danielle Hunter to go on with an ascending superstar and Will Anderson at the other edge rusher spot. Not only Danielle Hunter is going to help take a little bit of pressure off of Will Anderson, he's also going to be there to mentor Will Anderson, help him along the way, help him, give him a little bit of the tricks of the trade, and help him develop as an edge rusher. You add Danico Autry, maybe one of the more sneaky ads in free agency this offseason. But even with Danico Autry, I like him as a defensive tackle. I think he's a really good pickup by the Houston Texans. They're also trying, you see the reports. They're trying everything they can to make this team as best as they can. They tried trading for Eric Armstead from the 49ers. That trade fell through. But, every single possible thing they're doing this offseason is showing you we are all in going into next season. Not like Jerry Jones Cowboys all in. The Texans are for real all in this offseason. They're showing you by the moves that they're making. Also, Azeez Al-Shire signing the linebacker to replace Blake Cashman. An absolute steal, and you're reuniting him with D'Amico Ryans as former defensive coordinator, so you have that continuity with the two. Every addition this offseason has proven why the Texans are one of the teams to beat in the AFC. So, with saying all that, with telling you how good the Texans did this offseason, will that translate to wins going into next year? How many games will the Texans win in 2024? Predict it right now down in the comments section. Do you think it's 10? Do you think it's 11, 12, 13? Do they go 17-0 next year? I don't think so. But let me know what you think down in the comment section. How many wins will the Texans get? And the writing was on the wall before this trade even happened. This was a Twitter exchange from just a couple days ago. Somebody replied to a tweet and says, does Josh Allen even benefit from having a top-tier receiver? Yes. Is he essential to his success? No. Diggs, I think he's been hearing a lot of that. Feels a little bit disrespected by people not only in the media, but maybe Bills fans, people around the Bills organization, because his response was, you sure? You think Josh Allen would still be that guy without me? Let's see if he can do it. Let's see if he's still the quarterback that you think that he is without a top-tier receiver like me. And we'll see if there's any drop-off with Josh Allen going into next year now that he's lost two of his top receivers in Gabriel Davis and Stefon Diggs. Who will he be throwing to next year? Probably a couple guys in the NFL draft this year, but the Texans, they really benefited from this little spout between Diggs and the Buffalo Bills. Now, I want to hear from everybody at home. How pumped are you? Like the video if you're just excited for this Stefon Diggs trade. If you're excited for Houston Texans football, we were in the basement of the NFL for a couple of seasons. We were the laughingstock of the NFL for many of years. Not anymore. The Texans now are respected. They are feared in the National Football League. Gone are the days where you would wear a Texans jersey out, you would wear a Texans hat out, a Texans hoodie out, and people are like, damn, your team is ass. Not anymore. You can wear that Texans gear with pride. You can go out, wear that Andre Johnson jersey, wear that Texans cap that you have in the back of your closet, because the Texans, they're back and they're here to win a Super Bowl.